Hello and welcome to Behind the Screen. I am JM, and this is a show where we hang out and we talk about important things, beautiful things, board games, card games, but primarily role-playing games. And good morning to James and Ben and John and Jason. Good to see you all. So, what are we talking about today? Well, and it's hard for me to believe this, but about 10 years ago, actually 11 years ago, two of my friends were like, hey, we've never actually played Dungeons and Dragons before. We've played various other games. We've created our own games, but we've never played Dungeons and Dragons. And I was like, well, hey, I'll run us a D&D 5th edition game. My weird-sized mini-loving rebel. It is true. I do love me some Conquest. I thought you were saying I was weird-sized, and I'm like, I'm perfectly JM-sized, and now I realize, oh, right, yeah, Conquest minis are a little different. Hey, Ross, glad to have you here. So we played every month for about a year, and I was like, you know what? I was talking with the group, and I said, hey, we had this tradition back in my old gaming group where we would get together for a whole weekend. We would show up Friday night to someone's house, and we would play till Sunday evening. How would you guys like to come up to my house, and we'll end this 1-year campaign as in person? And so I had 6 people, I think, was the first campaign. Let's see here. It was Calvin, Luke, Richard, and Ben, and Christopher. I think it was actually only 5 people. I can't remember if there was someone else that first year, but BC came out. So it was 6 of us, 7 including me, and we played Thursday afternoon till Sunday evening, and it was awesome. And the campaign arc wrapped up, and I was like, well, hey, let's keep playing D&D. And we played for another year, and everybody was like, hey, let's do this again. And week after week, or year after year, we kept coming back. We did 2 years of 5th edition, and then we did a year of Infinity, and then we did a year of Jackals to do a final play test of Fall of the Children of Bronze before it came out. And then we did 2 years of 13th Age to bring a giant overarching multiverse, the iconic verse, if you will, to a conclusion. And then we've been playing 2nd edition for the last 3 years, and here we are 10 years later. TPK 10, Total Party Con 10, is about a week away. People start flying in next Wednesday, so there will be no Behind the Screen on Thursday. Sometimes we meet at my house. Sometimes we've met at cabins on the top of Pikes Peak. We've rented a couple of Airbnbs. That's what we're doing this year. We're renting the Barn Dominium, which is a giant barn that's been refurbished into an Airbnb, and it looks amazing. Yeah, I'm sorry, John Doom, to not know you at that point in time. I don't think Brad was there the first year. I think Brad joined us. He played in the 5th edition game, but he couldn't join us for TPK because he was in Canada. You did kill my version of the devil, and in a very Dante-like way, you went to a land of eternal ice to do so. The interstitial space. Why am I talking about this? Why am I bragging about this? Because this has become a foundation of my friendship with these people. We talk about we don't play every month like we used to. I think maybe we've gotten 3 games in this year between when we started and when we're going to start playing. It doesn't last 4 days like it did. I have several friends who are Orthodox now, and one of them is a deacon. So Saturday night is our cutoff, and we wrap up Saturday night and hang out. And Sunday morning, people fly out, head to church. I collapse, that sort of thing. But we do 3 solid days of gaming, Thursday morning to Saturday evening. We share great food, good fellowship, a ton of gaming, and it is wonderful. And the question I always, always, always get asked is, can I join? And my answer is always, no, I'm sorry. And there's multiple reasons for the no. One is the amount of people that are part of the TPK group has grown to, I think, a dozen. And every year, not everyone can make it. I think there's only like 3 of us that have been to every TPK. And over the years, we've added some people have fallen off. But like 12 is a large number. And I can barely, when we get 9 or 10 people around the table, that's a lot of people to try and stay focused and not talk over. And it is a crazy time. But the thing that I've started saying is, as opposed to no, and the other thing is I'm super cagey about this group. This is a very special time to me, and I want to make sure that, like, if I do add somebody, and there's a couple of people on wait lists, you may not be on the wait list and not even know it. But I would need people to like permanently back out and say, hey, you got to take me off the table. Because I guard this table. I guard this friendship and this time together. It has become a place for us to just let loose, get a little crazy, and enjoy each other's company. And so I realize that my just flat out no has been sort of, even if I explain it, even if I'm like, well, here's why, it can be hurtful, even though I don't mean it to be, and don't feel like I'm trying to be hurtful. But people clearly see kind of the passion I have for this weekend, and to feel like I am not inviting them, it feels like I'm rejecting them, and it's not the case. So I've changed my mind. What I've started to say is, well, no, this is our thing, but you should start your thing. And that's what I want to talk about today. Doing a TPK, and it doesn't have to be a full weekend, but it could be a full day of gaming, is way easier than you think it is. All it takes is a little bit of scheduling, come up with a plan for the game, get some food, dole it out to different people. Like every year I do most of the food prep, but this year that's kind of being taken off my hands, and it's wonderful. But you'd be amazed at how many of your friends would actually be willing to put down some money to help pay for food and drinks so that you guys can spend the day hanging out. And this is so important, especially in our day and age where we don't gather nearly as often as we should around the table. I have a dozen close friends that every year we move heaven and earth to make it a priority to come out for TPK. And the thing is about these guys, they're going to drive, they're going to fly. If someone is having a financial difficulty, the rest of the group steps in to help ensure that it is, Russ, it is a sacred time. And I love that. It is amazing. Now, maybe you can't do 4 days. Maybe you can't do 3 days. The nice thing about 3 days is if you tell your friends, hey, it's going to be 3 days of gaming, we're going to stay at my house, we're going to rent an Airbnb, and we're doing it in a year, that gives people time to, it's long enough that buying a plane ticket makes sense. It's long enough that saving up for the food money makes sense. And what you'll find is at the end of that weekend, we all long for a day. We have these halcyon days that we love of our gaming. And for most of us, that's middle school, high school, early college, where we had all the time in the world to game. And we developed close and intense friendships. We forged memories together in a fantastical world that doesn't exist for anyone else on the planet. When I say things like Ben's Himbo, man, there's so many inside jokes that, like, I can't share them because one, they're not entirely mine to share, but two, they would make zero context. You will come away having forged your friendships closer. And I really think that is worth doing. Now, let's go to the chat before I go to this next part. Let's see here. Go up to the chat. Ben only missed one, and he's searching eBay for the third. Padre, I ran a weekend game for my niece and nephew on New Year's Eve a couple of years ago. Ooh, that's awesome, Padre. I love that. If only one of them hangs up. Oh, no. Which one of you guys gets to be... is it Matthias? Who's the apostle who replaces Judas? Yeah, actually, we've done coast to coast. Ben's right, because for a while, Ben was on the East Coast. And Ben was on the West Coast, and Evan is on the East Coast. I think now Colorado is the furthest west people are traveling from. And here's the thing. 2 of the guys are coming down 3 or 4 days earlier because my shed base needs replaced. And they volunteered to do that for me because they're like, hey, why don't we just come down a couple of days early? We'll stay at your house. We'll give you a hand because we know you can't do as much of this stuff anymore. Molly, even if someone almost dies, TPK does not get canceled. This is true. I ran TPK July, August, September, 3.5 months after I almost died. 4 months. I think it was 4 months after I almost died. We still did TPK. Right? We had all of the free time and none of the money. And now we have all of the money and none of the free time. Yeah, your himbo is now a flaming sword. Strong of arm, broad of chest, dumb of ass. All right, I'm going to share one story. So Ben, in our 2nd edition game, Ben had horrible luck and had lost a ton of characters. And I was joking for 2 years that, all right, Ben, if you lose 10 characters in the 2nd edition D&D game on TPK. Now, mind you, we're only playing 4 days a week or 4 days a year. Ben has lost 8 characters. Actually, you lost 2 of your characters in like the kids game that I was doing. So I was like, all right, if you get to 10, I will give you something special. I will give you a prize for having lost the most characters in our 2E game. And so character 10 bites the dust like an hour into TPK 3. And I am like, get 10 characters in the same game in the same world. So I busted out Council of Worms. I let Ben roll up a half dragon in 2nd edition, which is amazing. Like, I think one of the other players, Ben's best friend, who all he wants to do is play a ranger in 2E and has never been able to qualify for it. Ben missed being a ranger with half dragon stats by 1 point. And I really think Richard would have lost it if Ben had got to play a ranger before he did. And so Ben's himbo was this dumb, lovable, charismatic guy who was so committed to the idea of good. And one of my favorite moments from TPK was the fact that this Naga ran away and Ben used his charisma to insult her to come back, and she fireballed the room. And Ben's laughing at me from the other side of the table, completely unaware of the shocked look of everyone else at the table, because Ben's like, I'm immune to fire as a half dragon. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. No one else in the room is. Ben, go check out the TPK Discord. I posted a video by the guy who did the Vicious Mockery video about casting fireballs in enclosed spaces. And wasn't it Aurelius? I think it was Aurelius. Another one is over 3 years they were hoarding magic items, and when they fought the white dragon, one of the players pulled out a potion of evil dragon control that Another player had been saving for years, and when he couldn't make it, he wrote up his inventory and transferred it to his apprentice. Even though we're not playing the same game from year to year, or even in the same world from year to year, there's a preponderance of stories that link us together in a way that I don't have friendships like that with nearly anyone else in the world. It's a different kind of bond and experience. And I think it's worth looking into. Get a group of local friends. Reach out to your friends from your old gaming group. Reach out to people that you know and have interacted with at conventions or online, and say, hey, if I were to do this, if we were to pick a date, would you be interested in coming out? You'd be surprised at how cheap an Airbnb is when you split it between 6 people, or in my case, a dozen. You would be surprised at how little food costs and how much everyone's, willing to chip in. I love my TPK experience, and I've expanded it out. I've done several other TPK-like events, like a 2-day weekend with people who aren't necessarily part of the main TPK event because of schooling or they teach or something like that. But the other thing that's interesting is TPK for me is a group of guys. And there's nothing wrong with that. I have, in fact, I would say most of my tables are at least 50-50 men and women. But there was something about the fact that, hey, we're going to go out and do this as a group of guys that really renewed this friendship and renewed this bond that, again, it's something special. Ross, that's awesome. You need to, this is fantastic. What board games are you playing? Let me know. I love board game groups that meet like that. And yeah, Ross is a great point. It doesn't have to be a role-playing game weekend. If you guys are a bunch of gamers, I know BC, my friend he will be back to TPK one of these years. He routinely does board game excursions at the coast where a bunch of people get together in a cabin at the coast and they just play board games all weekend. That sounds like a ton of fun, but the thing is, you're gathering, you're sharing time, you're investing in other people, you're breaking bread. This is important. Yeah, Padre, my kids' game, I think, is, if it's not 50-50, it's like 60-40 women to men. My Tuesday group is 60% women. All of my games involve men and women, except for TPK. And that's probably because all of us are married and we're all going off-site somewhere. And yeah, it's a good time. I think that whether you're a guy or a gal, you can put this together and get your friends together and have an amazing time. And I guarantee, I can't promise that the gaming is going to be transcendent. I can't promise that it'll fix all of the problems in the world. I can't promise that it's going to be the best gaming you've ever had. But I can promise you it will be a unique experience. And if you can get one knocked out, wrap it up and say, hey, would you guys like to do this again? Guarantee you most of the people are going to be like, yes, when can we do this again? And then you get to establish a tradition. And there is something beautiful about knowing, like everyone knows, in the first 2 weeks of August, or first 2 weeks of October, we're going to be at JM's house and we're going to be gaming. And yes, some years, some people can't make it, and other years, it's really tough on me. It's worth it for that moment of picking up everybody at the airport. Everybody can just take a step away, step out of our daily life into something a little bit more mythological, a little bit more sacred, a little bit more removed. And yeah, It's amazing. So that's right. You can build your own TPK with blackjack and hookers and bender. That is a wonderful way to start. Yeah, you could play Twilight Imperium. We usually play a game of God's War on Wednesday night, which is amazing. I love God's War. It's when I get to play God's War the most, is the fact that right. It's one of those board games that has a huge price point, and then every time you play it, you get to your cost per play drops. And I'm looking forward to Ben making all of the creepy noises that he makes when playing Chaos. Oh my gosh, Ben, that was the maddest I've ever seen Richard. Just hands down, the maddest I've ever seen Richard was in that game of God's War when he was going to win and Ben decided to play Kingmaker and ensure that everyone lost. And it was magnificent. And whenever you have too many people at TPK, you just play a game of diplomacy. That's true. I've played a lot of diplomacy, and I've played a lot of diplomacy with the same people, but I have never played diplomacy ever with the same exact group of people. Because inevitably, or the Game of Thrones board game by Fantasy Flight, same thing. At least one person has to change every time because someone comes away from that game so incredibly betrayed that they swear they'll never play with one of the other people at the table. And I've also found that if you play diplomacy by mail or do a public game where you're doing orders once a week, that raises the backlash from the anger at the betrayal. So, yep, a tie is a loss in God's War, and you made everyone tie, and then they lost, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful, man. One of these years, we're going to get to play with the expansions. I hope. Please, Peterson Games. I need the gods of secret and magic. All right. Well, that's it for today. We'll be back with more New Helio City on Thursday. And if you didn't catch it, Evan and I had a Why We're Passionate About Glorantha episode last night of Exploring Glorantha. And yeah, I will see you all on Thursday. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay gaming. I'm JM. This has been Behind the Screen, and I will see you all later. Until then, have a good one, everybody.